joined on the program by a legal practitioner, Mr. Abba Hakima. He joins us from our Kano studio. Thank you so much for coming on the program, as well as Mr. Sanusi Bature, the Chief Press Secretary to the Kano State Government. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, just in about 30 seconds, let me establish a few things for the purpose of the audience. Now, there is, of course, everybody knows what's going on with the tussle about the emirship in Kano and the legislation that was changed, and then Mohammed Sanusi reinstated as the Emir of Kano, deposing Ado Bayero. But the two monarchs are laying claim to that seat. But I want to show you the piece of the legislation that was changed, not the amended one. So, Section 3 of the Kano State Emirates Council law is where that was effected. Section 3, subsection 1. That is what was changed. There's hereby established for the state 5 distinct emirates, namely, and you can see all of the names of the emirates. If we go to Section 5 of the this particular law that was later changed this year, you can see Section 5, where it is said that the chairmanship will be rotational among the 5 emirs of the Emirate, and the sequence of which is to be determined by the governor. The next section, which is Section 2, 5.2 rather, also talked about the period under which somebody who is the council chairman will serve for a period of 2 years. So this is the old law. There is a new law that was amended to change some of these things. That's why we're having this conversation, because we have issues of litigation and adjudication still ongoing, and we have this gentleman. So let me start with you, Mr. Sanusi Bature, the Chief Press Secretary, on this one. We saw what played out yesterday, and people giving their own different interpretation of what has happened. Oh, that Sanusi has been removed, His Royal Highness Sanusi has been removed, and Royal Highness Ado Bayero has been restored. What is the government making of this? What is really the statement or the position, enforceable decision of court that we saw from the government end now?
Well, first of all, people need to understand that yesterday's judgment is in our favor because for a number of reasons. One, the judgment accepted the validity of the repeal law 2024. So therefore, that invalidates the 5 emirates and also deposed the 5 emirs in Kano. So therefore, at the moment, and based on yesterday's judgment, Aminu Ado Bayero and other 4 rural emirs were officially deposed, and they should remain deposed until the determination of the appeal that was filed by us. And the second thing is that because the law is validated, Sanusi is already at the palace, working as the 16th Emir of Kano. The judge also said that he stayed proceeding. So therefore, the stay of proceeding give us an opportunity to maintain Sanusi at the palace and continue to render all the services of an emir until the main substantive matter is determined. And at the same time, the whole controversy started with the law. And there is no reason any court can fault the law established by a state assembly or National Assembly, because there is a separation of power. And those 3 arms of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, work independently, even though they are interwoven as arms of government. So therefore, the judge was able to validate the law established by Kano State House of Assembly, and to us it's a plus, because whatever we do, or whatever we did previously was basically because of the new law. So therefore, to us it's a plus, and we welcome the judgment, and we await for the appeal on this matter.
Let me come to you, Ms. Hikima. Your take on this particular issue. The reason why we are having your take, because these things can be subject to multiple interpretation. But as people in the know, you have access to the final document. What's your position?
Well, first of all, I don't think it is correct to say that, there's any contradiction or any misunderstanding in the law, the judgment or the ruling rather of the Federal High Court given yesterday was very clear. In fact, the certified true copy of that ruling is currently going round on the social media and what have you. And it is clear that the first order given by that court is that all actions taken pursuant to the 2024 Kano State Emirate repeal law are set aside, and that the second order was that that does not affect the validity or invalidity of the law made because it is a subject of the substantive suit which is still pending before the court. So there's currently no final judgment on the validity of that law made in Kano State. It is still being contended, although proceedings have been stayed. So it is not correct, with all due respect, and we have a duty to tell people what is the truth, what is the true position. It is there, everybody can verify that is not the position of the law, first of all. Secondly, the courts also have power, in spite of the doctrine of separation of powers, as said by the Sanusi Bature, who is somebody I respect. Courts of law in Nigeria have the power, in spite of that line of separation of powers, to also come in and say, okay, so action done by the executive or so action done by the legislators is not correct or should be suspended or should be stayed. And this is clearly what this Honorable Court said, whether rightly or wrongly, and whether the Federal High Court has jurisdiction or not. The court was very clear on the 23rd day of May when it said that all parties before the court, and these parties include the Kano State government, all parties were asked and directed and ordered by the court to maintain status quo ante bellum. What this means is that they should maintain the state of affairs as they existed before the passage and assent of that law. What this means was that before that law was passed and assented to by the governor, we have 5 Emirates in Kano State, and the Federal High Court now said everybody should go back to that state of affairs. That's what it means, what literally, maintenance of status quo ante bellum implies. So there's a duty on the government of Kano State and the governor of Kano State and all the stakeholders to ensure that the orders of the court are maintained. It is not correct, in my own humble opinion, that there's any misinterpretation or there's any quagmire or any confusion. These orders of court are clear, they are out there for all to verify, and there's a duty on all persons and authority throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria to respect orders of court. So Section 287 of the Constitution of Nigeria is clear that all persons in Nigeria, all authorities must respect orders of court. That is the only way we can have a democracy, that's the only way we can have a system. If people of authority decide to...
If you can hear me, if I'm a button, because of time.
Respect orders of court or flout orders of court, we can't have a system.
Okay, if I'm a button, you're the lawyer, so you help us out here. So, based on what you said, because there are 2 follow-up questions I want to ask before I go to Mr. Bature. Based on what you said, by your own judicial understanding of the law, who is the Emir of Kano in the eye of the law right now?
In the eyes of the law, the Emir of Kano is Aminu Ado Bayero, because the law, portion to which Emir Sanusi was appointed, has been put in abeyance by the Federal High Court. The court says yesterday, all actions taken pursuant to the 2024 law, one of which is the appointment of Emir Sanusi, have been set aside. The court has clearly said that. That's order number 1 given yesterday. And even before that,
all right. My apologies. I'm trying to crunch in as much.
My sincere apologies, sir. For maintenance of status quo ante bellum. So, using these 2 orders of the court, which are very clear and explicit, you could clearly beat your chest and say the Emir of Kano, in the eyes of the law and law-abiding people, is Aminu Ado Bayero. Just the last one before I go to Mr. Bature. But there is this argument, including, I read something from Leonard Silk, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, that the Federal High Court sitting over issues of traditional institution is a jurisdictional overreach. Isn't it correct, or is it correct? So maybe you help us out here. It's supposed to be a state affairs at the State High Court, not an FHC issue. If you ask me personally, I will also say that chieftaincy matter is a very straightforward issue. It has been well litigated in Nigeria, and it is the state high courts that have jurisdiction. But the jurisprudence we practice in Nigeria is such that whenever an order of court is handed down, whether rightly or wrongly, that order must be respected. And that's why you have appeals. That's why you have the hierarchy of courts. If you're not happy with an order given, or if you think an order has been given without jurisdiction, you can appeal. But you cannot just go, take your own positions and say, the court does not have jurisdiction, and then begin to begin to help yourself. There's no self-help in our jurisprudence. You can only appeal an order of court if you're not happy with it. So whether or not that order has jurisdiction, I believe it doesn't also, but the right thing to do is to obey the court. Court orders must be obeyed whether rightly or wrongly, and that's why you have judicial mechanisms for challenging orders of court where they are made wrongly, and that's appeal.
My sincere apologies. Mr. Ekima, my sincere apologies. Because of time, I may have to butt in. My sincere apologies. So that Mr. Batiru can have it. So, Mr. Batiru, I'm sure you have response to him.
Yes, correct.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I am really very surprised to hear from a lawyer that Aminu Bayero is still the Emir of Kano. Why? Because of that sentence from the court judgment. This does not affect the validity of the law. What I'm trying to say here is that by accepting the validity of the 2024 law, it means that anything pre-2019, we are back to pre-2019, and there was no Aminu Ado Bayero in 2019 as an emir. And what people doesn't understand, Aminu Ado Bayero has never been an emir of Kano. Was appointed an emir of 8 metropolitan to local government. He was never an emir of Kano. And today, the law is the law for Kano Emirate. The entire 44 local government are under one united emirate in Kano State. And Aminu was never an emir of Kano. That is one. And the second issue is that we appealed because we believe Federal High Court has no jurisdiction in chieftaincy affairs. So therefore, and for the reason the judge for the Federal High Court said he stayed proceeding is because he wants the appeal court to determine the issue of jurisdiction. So therefore, at the moment, you cannot say there is no circumstance that you can accept Aminu Bayero as an emir. Aminu was an emir of 8 metropolitan local government, which has been abolished by the new repeal law 2024, which the current court did not invalidate. So therefore, by making the law valid, it means anything that violates that law is null and void. So therefore, there is no Rano, there is no Bichi, there is no former metropolitan Emirates, and there is no Gaya, there is no Karai. At the moment, you only have Kano Emirate, which covers the 44 local government. And I have listened to a lot of interpretations from most senior lawyers, SAN and what have you. There was never, even within the lawyers of the lawyers defending or the lawyers that filed this case of Aminu Babadang Awundi, they never agreed and they never concurred. They never said Aminu Bayero is still the Emir of Kano. If Aminu Bayero is still the Emir of Kano, he should be at the farthest doing the responsibility of an Emir, especially at this time when the police are not with us. The police decided to take side with the Aminu Ado Bayero. So therefore, I think with all humility is a baseless claim that Aminu can never be the Emir of Kano under the new law. And he has never been an Emir of one united Kano Emirate. He has been, he was appointed an Emir of 8 metropolitan local governments.
I needed both sides to have their understanding and interpretation of what this is all about. But we'll leave the decision of court to the court. At the end of the day, the interest we're looking for is the interest of the people of Kano. Quick question, and I'm going to ask both of you this question sincerely. I've asked senior advocate, thank God you're a lawyer, Mr. Ekima. One of the things that is going on is the fact that there is, the politicians are involved in the, traditional institution. Is there a way to insulate? From the law I read, section 5.2 of that law, says that, according to the 2019 legislation, that the governor will decide, the rotation, the sequence of rotation when we had the issue of 5 emirates. How do we insulate traditional institutions from governance, elected officials? 30 seconds each, gentlemen.
Okay, in the first 5 seconds, let me just say that by saying Aminu is the Emir of Kano, of course, I mean the new law has not been, has been assented really, but has been put in abeyance. Right. So we are supposed to go back to the to the 2019 law, which has 5 Emirates in Kano, which gave us 5 Emirates, and which made Aminu Emir of Kano. By Kano, I mean Bichi and other Emirates, of course, existed. And then that's a quick one. With respect to how to insulate the traditional institution, I am of the opinion firmly that traditional institutions should be insulated. What is happening right now in Kano should serve as an example nationwide as to how politicians can dabble into traditional affairs, and politicize them. If you go to Kano right now, you would see that about 90% or so. I have not done that, the statistics.
All right, Mr. Ikima, I'm being told my time is, we're totally out of time.
Adherents are supporting Emir Sanusi, and a big chunk of all the opposition, politicians are supporting Aminu.
All right, Mr. Ikima, just
a traditional
my apologies, please. I have to butt in here. My apologies, Mr. Bature. Just 10 seconds. I'm totally out of time, but I have to be fair to both of you. Mr. Bature, just quick questions, quick answer to my question.
Okay, first, people need to understand that the Kano Emirate predates Nigeria. It's over 1,000-year history. And the reason why the current governor of Kano, His Excellency Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, decided to review the Kano Emirate law with the support of the State Assembly was because of the too much politicization by the previous administration of Ganduje. So he was able to restore the lost glory of the Emirates by reinstating Emir Sanusi so that it can remain well-respected institution as it should be without any politicization.
My apologies. It's not my intention to cut both of you off, but we're totally out of time. I must apologize. I apologize. Sanusi Bature, Chief Press Secretary of the Kano State Government, Abba Ikima, legal practitioner. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
That's it.